Decision making is about the selection of a solution for a problem. In other words, we have several possible alternatives, and then we choose one of those alternative solutions. One approach that's very useful in selecting a specific solution, alternative, when we have several criteria by which to evaluate those solutions, is an approach known as the Bayesian approach. In this approach, we have to weight the importance of each individual criterion and then go through and score each alternative in terms of how well it does on that particular criterion. Let's take a look at an example. Let's suppose that you're going to transfer to a 4-year university. You have 3 local alternatives: University of California, Riverside, University of Redlands, and California State University, San Bernardino. In making your decision, you have 2 criteria: the quality of your desired program and the cost. Now, these different criteria are both important, but they're not equally important. You think that the quality is more important than the cost. And so when it comes to weighting those 2 alternatives, you're going to give a higher weighting to quality, say the number 10, and only a 7 to the number of the criterion of cost. Let's now score each alternative in terms of how well it meets that particular criterion. For example, let's suppose that in your particular field, a very good program can be found at University of Redlands. 10 would be the ideal program, 9 is very, very close to that, and that's what University of Redlands would score in your particular area. University of California, Riverside is close behind as an 8, and Cal State San Bernardino is okay, give it a 5. When it comes to the relative cost of these 3 institutions of higher education, the cheapest would be Cal State San Bernardino, not as cheap as a community college, but still reasonably priced. And so because it is cheaper, we'll give it a higher score, an 8 in this case. University of California, Riverside is more expensive, but it too is a public institution and still within the range of affordability. Give it a 6. University of Redlands, being a private institution, that's going to be extremely expensive, and so therefore give it only a 1 in terms of cost. What the Bayesian approach does is it multiplies these numbers. The 10 that we have for the weight of our criterion times the 8, which is the score of all our alternative on that particular criterion. And so if we do the multiplication, this is what we end up with. And then we add the scores of each particular alternative. So University of California, Riverside will get 80 points for quality, 42 for cost, for a total of 122. University of Redlands 97, Cal State 106. Now, given these assumptions of the relative weights and the scoring on the alternatives, University of California, Riverside would come in first place as the best alternative given your criteria. What the Bayesian approach does is it maximizes our potential expected gain. Now, another way of looking at the same criteria, the same weightings, the same alternatives, and the same scores is known as the conjunctive approach. The conjunctive approach does it a little bit differently. What it attempts to do is to minimize our risk. So let's go back to the same 2 criteria with the same weightings, the same 3 alternatives with the same scores. Now we're going to essentially subtract. How does University of California stand up in terms of quality versus our desired quality of a 10? Well, it's a minor deficiency. It scores an 8, we wanted a 10. University of Redlands scores a 9, we wanted a 10. That's a minor deficiency. But Cal State San Bernardino only gives a 5, we wanted a 10. That's a major deficiency. What about cost? University of Redlands is a major deficiency. It's way too expensive. University of California Riverside and Cal State are only minor deficiencies. So if we look at it like this, both University of Redlands and Cal State both have a major deficiency. University of Redlands costs way too much. Cal State just doesn't have the quality that you desire. University of California Riverside is not perfect, but its deficiencies are minor. So for that sense, University of California Riverside wins according to the conjunctive approach because it minimizes risk. This approach essentially satisfies us. It doesn't always get the best possible alternative on each particular criterion, but it gives us something satisfactory. It minimizes our risk, and in that sense is often the safest alternative. If you have any questions or comments about the Headless Professor video series, contact me, brink@usa.com.